Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners. This is COMETSA Radio Africa, the voice of COMETSA, the organization everybody wants to be associated with. The mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. That's our philosophy. We inform and entertain. We develop and educate. We empower and support. We associate and network. That's the idea. We are a business and professional management services 24/7 internet streaming radio station. We broadcast music and talk shows across the world. Our objective is to use the African storytelling and Lekgotla conversation methodology in offering career coaching, education and learning guidance, continuous professional development, enterprise and entrepreneurship development, and connecting supply to demand. Our talk shows aim to affirm and support business professionals and entrepreneurs in their personal and professional journey of bringing difference to the world. These are talk shows that recognize excellence and greatness. Professionals and entrepreneurs are invited as a recognition of the great contribution they are making to humanity. We have a network of associates, members, and stakeholders who know our quality standards and therefore make recommendations to our production team. The conversations become lifelong account of our guests' work since they are recorded on Mafrika Radio Studio and distributed on COMETSA Mafrika Podcast, Spreaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and many more other platforms to be added in the future. We are building a solid ecosystem of professionals and entrepreneurs committed to the empowerment of others, collaboration across sectors, sharing of insights and knowledge, building a base for succession and inheritance, and safeguarding the legacies for generations after us. We inherited these legacies from our forefathers and mothers, not to waste them, but to pass them on to generations after us. That's our duty and responsibility. My name is Sam Zima. I am the CEO and Executive Business Coach at COMETSA GOC International. You may visit our website, www.cometsa-goc.com. The same principles that govern our organization are the principles that govern COMETSA Radio Africa, and they are win-win approach, holistic mindset, competency development, demanding accountability, ethical inclusive practice, and progressive transformation. You are welcome to consider becoming a member of COMETSA Friends and Supporters Club, NPO, and join this movement of inspiring professionals, experts, technical people, and entrepreneurs in supporting the good cause of a fellow human being. That can be done online at www.cometsaclub.africa. Alternatively, you're welcome to send us email at callcenter@cometa-goc.com. Let me welcome my guest and the speaking partner, my brother Tshepo Mogano. Greetings, Tshepo. How are you doing?
Greetings to you, Sam, and greetings to all the listeners of this wonderful program.
Lovely.
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Great to talk to you. It has been a while, and you and I have been meaning to do this.
Certainly, I agree.
Yeah. Beautiful. Are you based in Soweto today?
Yes, I'm based in Soweto today.
Okay.
I was in Meadowlands earlier on this week, and then due unfortunately to the passing of one of my aunts, I had to quickly run back home.
Oh, condolences to you, my brother, and the family.
Thank you.
Thank you, nevertheless, for still managing to make it. Yeah. Lovely. You and I, we're going to talk about some very interesting memories, but also look forward in terms of the field in which you find yourself. But perhaps before we do that, let's respect our listeners and introduce you to them. Who is Tshepo Mogano? Where did you grow up, and what did you grow up doing?
That's a beautiful question and interesting one. Tshepo Mogano is a passionate South African who is born in Soweto at a place called Meadowlands, who is a passionate youth worker, who's a passionate musician, who's a passionate artist or overall artist, and at the same time who's passionate with production, and who's passionate also with this journey that we've been talking about, and at the same time who's passionate with people and human beings in general, with all different kinds of human beings.
Beautiful. How was it growing up in Meadowlands in Soweto?
Interesting. It's quite an interesting place, and it has its own challenges as much as it has its own beautiful advantages.
Kikokasi,
certainly.
Yeah, and but you have always been very interested. You are a youth yourself. I mean, we still regard you as a youth, but it looks like you have long taken a decision that you are going to be the youth that looks after the youth.
Yes, in fact, that's been my lifelong passion, and that's given me a wonderful opportunity to interact, to develop, and also to grow other youth.
It has always been amazing and very inspiring those years. I mean, we're talking a couple of years that you and I, we had an encounter at COMETSA Mafrika band. And after the shows, we will sit down and talk so seriously. I never actually bothered to ask you how old were you then. For me, your thinking was just so mature that there was not even inclination for me to check how old you were. And when I look at you now, I realize that, man, you must have been quite very young then.
Yes, actually, certainly I was. But I was always interested into serious stuff about life. For some reason, God gave me this ability and this passion of just having interest and passion about people, and even worse about people who are passionate about people. And this is where my relationship and you begin. Because, by the way, something that I probably never mentioned to you, one of the most amazing people and one of the most, how can I say it, inspirational figures in my life in general. Whenever I think of you, it's always positive memories, and I've always respected your passion towards people, towards business, towards the mind, the journey, and the destiny.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And I must say, this is just being the nature of our organization, COMETSA. It is very much anchored in the work with the young people. And some people who know us now as a corporate, they don't realize that actually is the young people that actually inspired the establishment of COMETSA itself.
Yes, and in fact, it comes to me. It's a little bit sad that COMETSA, according to me, COMETSA should be one of those organizations which are recognized not only just nationally but internationally for the amount of work that COMETSA has done across the board when it comes to young people. And it's very much a burning passion of mine to do the best that I can to also help it to go towards that direction, because I don't see why that recognition has hasn't come forth.
I think everything has its own time, and it might be the right time now that we have perfected all our dreams, and we have this platform now where we can shout loud for those who have some blockages in their ears to hear a little bit more of the work we do. So yeah.
In 100% agreement, sir.
Yeah, and Tshepo has how many siblings?
How many?
Do you have siblings, brothers and sisters?
Yes. Well, I have my sisters with my mom, and at this point, and now with my two nephew and niece.
Yes. How many sisters?
I have two.
Okay.
Two sisters.
Are you the elder?
No. They're older than me. I'm
okay.
pretty much older.
Okay.
In fact, it's quite an interesting thing with age with me, because it seems like I'm changing quite a little. I seem to be remaining in one place when it comes to age. Perhaps it's because of the spirit I've always had, which is a forever young spirit.
And your lifestyle, I guess.
And my lifestyle, just like that.
And I know that you do a lot of work at church.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about your activities at church.
Okay, so at church it's mostly music. In fact, this is where I groomed, or I was groomed, especially musically, and my passion was explored. So at church I deal with music. One of the things I didn't mention, along the many other things that I do, is a professional drummer. I'm a professional drummer. By the way, I studied music at former Eastside College, which is now, I think, St. Jobert's Central College.
Yes.
So.
Yes, I see that.
Yes, so that's why I did music. So now at church, I'm involved in the music part, and partly on the production part, because it's something as well that I've been very passionate about. So I help on the technical side and also on the implementation side of it.
I've always known you to be associated with music, and it almost like you're one of those people that when you were born, before you became aware of yourself, they took drummers and put them around you, and you woke up, and as you started seeing them, you started hitting them.
You know me very well. Yes. It's something that's how can I say it? It's like a natural gift with me. Yes. I hear rhythm. In everything that I do. Rhythm is important to me. So I hear rhythm. I understand rhythm. I live my life alongside rhythm. So yes, music is one of those things that even till today, I mean, I've aged quite a bit, and I've been coming across a lot of my colleagues, a lot of guys that we used to do music together way back when. And you know, when I tell some of these guys that I'm still passionate and even in music, to them, I suppose it's one of those activities you used to do anyway. But for me, I never really quite could understand it. For me, it's like breath. It's something that I always and constantly have, and hence I refer to it as a passion, not just as a hobby. So you're correct.
It sounds so odd for a young person like you to say I've aged. Because it might be misleading for some people that side. They think you're on the other side of 40. I would rather say I've grown up a little bit. Because aging sounds like you are on a descending side of the curve. You are still on the up side of the curve.
You know what? Thank you for correcting that. Thank you very much. Yes, you are 100% correct. No,
because I want our listeners to have a proper picture of how young you are.
Oh, you know what? In our conversation, we tend to get intertwined between my friendship and you, because we've known each other for such a long time. And so, in my mind, I was thinking, relatively me and you. But no, definitely right. You're corrected. No, yes, that point was well made, and thank you for that correction.
Yeah. And which school did you go to? Primary school and high school?
Oh, I went to Palesa Primary School, and then I went on to progress to Mogano Senior Secondary School.
And you completed your high school there?
Yes, that's where I completed my high school. So each and everything that I did it 100% goal locationing, goal option.
Yes.
And in fact, just to add in a little bit right there, there's a program that I did in 2017. It was something I called Go Back to Your School. So now, since I've had an opportunity through youth work of touring some parts of the world, places like Germany, as you may well know, and certain other parts of Europe. Now, I did the sort of program which was launched then, and we were supposed to just go there and represent a life of a typical South African, a young South African, especially after the freedom of Mandela. And now, during this period, I've had extensive amount of experience and interactions with the international world and with the international community. And therefore, I've learned quite a lot. And now on this program that I was doing back in school, so I after all the experience that I've had, I went back to my school and I told them of all of the things that I had done, all the youth work that I had done.
And this is now which school, the primary one?
No, the secondary one.
Yeah. What was the name again?
Mogano Secondary School, yes.
And it's in Meadowlands?
Yes, it's in Meadowlands.
Okay, yes.
Yes. So due to this program, and then I went back to school because I had seen the opportunities that I'd had, especially as a simple young South African. And I would go there and inspire them each and every time that the world is your stage. You can become whatever that you want. You can do whatever that you want. And Sam, can I report to you that the head of the department I was heading came back later on that year after the project that I'd done, because I'd engaged on it throughout the year. Because what I used to do on a daily basis, I'll go and motivate them, give them a reason to study, give them a reason why, and give them the importance of being in school, because we underestimate this. A lot of young kids go to school, but they sort of assume, and we all assume that they know why they're in school. So I used to reinstall this, and especially towards the matriculants. Normally, Mogano used to pass at around 67% when it comes to the matriculants. And this year, that year on 2017, they passed with 97% of the matriculants. So that was a sign that the project I ran in school was working, especially as somebody who was from there, because during the courses that I would do or during my talks that I would give to them, I used to give them scenarios, especially based on listening to me and how I present myself and the things that I was saying. So I would ask them, what do you assume or where do you think I come from? And most of them thought I went to schools in Sandton. Most of them thought I went to private school or some expensive school. And I would show them my desk. That no, in this class, that's where I used to sit. No, in this class, that's where I used to sit. And this made a huge change in their lives. Some of them, I still come across them, and they still commend me highly for that, and they still give me respect. And so this was a pilot for me at the time. I realized that it works, and it's actually one of the things I want to add my 2 cents with, especially as far as the journey that COMETSA is taking on to actually extend and take it not only from my school, but to all the schools across South Africa.
Wonderful. And through the platform like this, we can reach the whole world and the continent as well. Yeah, so I've always wondered how you came to become part of COMETSA Mafrika band, because I when I woke up, I just found you being part of us. I still don't remember how. Were you recruited, or did you discover us, or what happened?
With COMETSA, I think it was how can I say, love at first sight.
Yeah.
It was through music because I'm a freelance drummer.
Yes.
So there's a friend of mine called Kush Kumbelo.
Yes.
That you know very well, and so he invited me. He said, you know what? There's a band that's starting out, and we might need someone who's inclined to music, and actually we need a drummer because Kumbelo knew that I was passionate about music.
Yes.
And Kumbelo is one of my neighbors, so he knew that, hey, this guy, I know he loves music very much. And then paid a visit one day, and I thought it was just a typical band, normal setup. But then I went in to be curious because I noticed that no, COMETSA was just not all about a band and music alone. And that's when me and you met.
Yeah, and I think so. So you must have been one of the very, very first Kumbelo Cindy. I think it must have been Cindy who sent Kumbelo to come and find you. Because as we were putting together the band, we started realizing that we needed to have a complete band quicker because we were starting to be requested to come and perform because we were talking too much about it. So he must have said, listen, come over, let's complete the band.
100% correct. That's actually how it happened, as I recall myself.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then when you arrived at COMETSA House, you realized, hey man, this is not just a band. Why did they call me for a band? This is an organization. Because the football club, the development football club was pumping at that time, and some of the footballers didn't like the idea of now starting another project before they even, because some of them thought that the football club was meant to become a professional club. Because they had not understood the vision yet.
And just to add to that, this is one of the most amazing things that was happening with COMETSA because I was a little bit confused at first, even myself, noticing that hey, it seems like this place there's a lot of this place has a lot of hands and a lot of legs with it, because there's another group. But the wonderful thing was that there was a lot of serious activity there. Something that I see, and it was blossoming with life. And I just love the vibrancy that was in COMETSA. And when I go to get to know about it, it's the time when we started engaging. I think, Sam, from the first time we met, we just clicked like that because you are someone that I have, relatively the same passions with. And I'm still amazed, actually, that even till this day, many, many years later, I still relate to you in the very same frequency.
Yes.
And after you introduced what was supposed to be COMETSA and the plans that you had, the radio station that that we're talking on today is one of the ideas that you relate on the ideas that you had. I remember you wrote on a black flash book all of these plans, and this is one of the first things, by the way, that amazed me about you. You had everything on a map. That okay, this is how that's going to work. That's how that's going to work. You are a super genius that I've seen in action, and so from that point on, that's the relationship that we started having. And I remember one of the first things that I fell completely in love with was the motto behind COMETSA.
Yes.
The mind, the journey, the destiny.
Yeah.
Which ended up being a beautiful performance.
You guys even wrote a song about it.
Yes, you wrote a song about it. The mind, the journey, the destiny. Actually, I don't remember it.
Yes, let me give you the lyrics if you've forgotten about them. It is the mind. It says it's about the plugged and active mind, the sharing mind, the futuristic mind, the inquiring mind. And then the journey is about the enthusiastically promoting our ideas, giving as we learn, retaining and investing our learnings and earnings, search for new opportunities. And the destiny is about productivity and profitability, social responsibility and caring, growth and sustainability, and renewal and survival. So you had all these were these are the lyrics of your song. The mind, the journey, the destiny.
Certainly. And it's funny just how, as you recite them now, they are timeless. There are times that they are relevant any time, in fact. They're still relevant till today. It was actually a powerful thing.
Yeah.
I'm almost shaking just going through the experience in my mind. I can almost get back in time when we were singing this.
Yeah. But even then, I still remember when we were rehearsing and playing, most of you were still in the early stages of being. Remember, you come with the skill and talent and you're learning at school, but the actual participation in the industry was not yet that broad. And we will pick up quite a lot of things that needed to be perfected because we were getting invited to perform in real events. So you couldn't say we are still learners. I remember at some stage at one event at the SHM Chamber of Commerce, the microphone we wouldn't open up and our sound engineer, what was his name again?
No was the bassist, not Neo.
The guy who lived in somewhere in Krugersdorp. I'm gonna get the name for you because he and I saw him growing, and he was the only sound engineer. We will all stop and look at him.
Yes. And now I can see his name. I mean his face in my memory, but he was a very friendly guy.
I'm gonna get him for you just now because I never lose you guys. All of you, Martin Mumba.
Yes.
Martin Mumba was our sound engineer then.
Oh yeah.
And he himself was also just starting to get these things into context. Every one of you was actually coming as a student from wherever you were, and it used to be quite fascinating. Now, and I can imagine you must be now quite very advanced because, I'm sure we're going to talk about the regrouping of the band, and I think is one of the reasons why I wanted to have a conversation with you. But it's wonderful to have seen you at that basic base level. And here you are today. I'm sure you have a lot of story to share. But before that, what stand out for you? What are the fond memories of playing for COMETSA Mafrika band or being part of COMETSA in general that are still standing out in you?
Thank you for that question, and thank you for this moment because it actually gives me an opportunity to first and foremost express my gratitude towards COMETSA. And also personally, even towards you. This is one thing you probably did not know. With COMETSA then, when we played live at the Gallagher Estate, it was my first biggest gig, the first biggest professional event.
Wow.
Where the crowd there was so excited and they fired us up with such passion. In fact, it's one of my dreams till today. It's one of the visions that I have, when I go to bed, and that fires my passion for music all over and over again. It's actually because of that very spiritual and majestic experience that we had there. I remember there was a point when we were singing some of these songs they would ask for some more of them, So COMETSA actually gave me an opportunity to play live at Gallagher Estate in front of, that was the first largest crowd I've ever played in. Wow. And it was the first ever professional gig that I had played in. I've been playing for a while, but it used to be, here and there, bands, little clubs and all of that. But the first time I experienced a big crowd was with that. And actually, I grew on to now even understand how it feels like. And this is what puts me to places where I now, even like I was saying, even at church, I would advise when it comes to production. So some of those are some of the things that we learned back then. Because you remember, we're not only just a band then. We would set up. I remember we had time when we set up. You remember with that van, the COMETSA van, we used to transport everything. It was
the actual logistics of moving from one place to another.
Yes.
And by the way, the rehearsal for that event at the Gallagher Estate, that week was hectic. One of the most hectic weeks in at COMETSA Mafrika band. And for me, as a leader of a band, and I'm not a musician, I was just doing the logistics and making sure that all the steps were in place. One thing I wanted to make sure was that you guys were ready in terms of delivering the quality music on the day of the event.
And you understood us very well. In fact, it still amazes me just how much you're not as embedded into music as I am, but at the same time, it's almost as if you are, because you had this enormous understanding for each and everything. I mean, you used to drop us at homes individually across different places in the AMs.
Yeah, I remember.
In the AMs.
And the reason why I wouldn't forget it, I'll remember when we take off at midnight after rehearsal, we'll hit N1 and we're heading for Krugerstop to drop Martin Mumba.
You are a superman.
And then from Krugerstop we were heading for Leratong Hospital, that side, to come in via there to drop you guys in Dobsonville.
No, you forgot where we were actually coming from. In fact, you can even mention to the listeners, we actually, in fact, we went through, I think, was it 3 or 2 points of a better part of Joburg, because we were from the far east end, and then we were going to the far west end.
Yes, I mean, we were driving from Isando to Krugerstop, midnight. And then coming from there, we will go and drop you guys in Dobsonville, and then go and drop. Remember the late friend of ours, Chris Quatale?
Oh yeah.
May his soul rest in peace. He was part of that logistic. It was part of the organization. We will go and drop him somewhere there in towards where is that? Towards the White City. He was staying towards White City there. And then from White City, we'll then go and drop our bass guitarist, Neo.
Neo, yes.
Around, who was staying at next to Klipspruit.
Yes, in Pimble.
Yeah. And then we will hit the road and then drive back to Isando. By the time I get home, it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
You're making me relive those moments. And you know what? All of that was without even a single complaint. Yeah. And I was full. I could almost do that all over again. Yeah. It was a beautiful experience. Because
it was. And then in that process, one was learning to understand that when you see people performing on the stage there, you may think people just met there and then they perform. I always knew that when we were invited to come and perform, I knew the week before that performance, it was going to be just like that. Now, Tshepo, the good news is that, remember, out of COMETSA Mafrika band, we also discovered that we needed to have a COMETSA Mafrika development agency to make sure that as the band grows, we don't leave behind the idea of continuously doing development for musicians and artists in general. So that agency is established, is there, you are part of it, you are on the board. It hasn't yet kick-started because other things had to happen first, but we have regrouped all the agencies now. They belong into one group, and we will be resuscitating them. The registration is still intact. It's still registered with the department CIPC. But what is important for you to know, I still have all of you contacts. And 2021 is the beginning of the regrouping of COMETSA Mafrika band. And one of the reasons why I'm inviting you is because you and I, we have shared the vision of the band together. So I've dusted off all the script papers and this radio station was launched also as part of that, because I was always worried that, our band needs to have a platform where it can be listened to without any disruption. And here we are. So when we get together and resuscitate the band, I'm sure we will start playing more of its music on this radio, because our radio station is both music and talk shows.
And I'm super interested at also just how much you sync yourself to the times. During these COVID times, everything is going online.
Yeah.
And just from the exposure and different media platforms that you were mentioning, actually, this is interesting to me because just last week, I went into research about, especially as a musician, and especially also knowing a whole lot of other people who are interested in music. So I was making a research about how to distribute your music in this day and age. And some of the platforms that you just mentioned, that the podcasts that we do are downloaded, they are some of the places that I had learned from last week that they are effective places, especially in these ages. In these times to especially publish your music too. And now I'm super impressed at how you incline yourself and sync to the times as we keep going. Absolutely. And this is a beautiful thing, Sam.
Yeah. So within the COMETSA Mafrika platform, which is our podcast, we will have, as soon as you guys are ready, because every one of you are still in touch with me. I know exactly what you are doing out there, and everybody say, listen, we can't wait to get back. So there will be COMETSA Mafrika Band podcast, sub-podcast within COMETSA Mafrika platform, where we will then publish our music and then we take the journey forward in terms of music. And then, of course, the development agency will then be there to make sure that we don't forget to plow back and contribute to the growth of the industry.
Certainly. And this is a beautiful opportunity, by the way. This now concerns the listeners of the show. Africa has a whole lot to give as far as music, as far as the creativity of music. And we are going places with this. And I'm seeing on the different international platforms, African music is just expanding more and more. And now this is one of the places where all of you are going to be exposed to some of the sounds, some of the talent, some of the passion, some of the magical things that happen in Africa that you've never experienced before. So I would advise all the listeners to stay tuned and to also stay tuned for the new sound that will be beating from the heartbeat of Africa.
Absolutely. And we mustn't forget to mention the fact that you guys came to the house when the house was just open and you were performing in the sitting room. And that sitting room, remember what happened to it? We converted into COMETSA Mafrika studio. You saw the studio happening in front of you, and that studio is now ready for you when you come back to take it to the next level. I mean, everything is just falling into place. What was missing now was just for us to regroup. The online store is ready as well. So once we are ready, the online store is there for music to be available.
This is such beautiful information, sir. And I've always been curious what happened. That was one of the most beautiful studios I've actually set my foot in.
Yeah.
And it was one of my questions, especially offline. I wanted to ask you earlier. Hey, Sam, what happened to the studio? Because I know it was a beautiful studio. It was wonderful.
It is still there, intact with all its infrastructure, and because we knew that it was not for then, it was for the future as all these plans unfold. And so what we need now is just to get a resident sound engineer, so that when the artists, you guys come with your guitars and your whatever equipment, when you get there, you relax, have a cup of coffee, the sound engineer connect everything, and when you are ready, he is done, he calls you in, and then you hit your thing.
Sam, you're almost like Father Christmas. You always carry good news with you.
So you could almost say that the COMETSA Mafrika brand within the COMETSA GOC is now alive and kicking.
Yes. In fact, it's always been, it's just in a very interesting way. It's almost as if we went on to experience other things just to come back to this very point, whereby now we can say, okay, I've seen enough, I've done enough, and now we need to plow back the start that we planted, because it's a seed that we are planting, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we need to cultivate that plant, and that seed has actually grown on to flourish. But now we need to get more seed and plant back, and especially towards the next generation. So this is just perfect. This is a perfect time to cultivate that seed that we planted back in the days, and to make it now to flourish and get to a point where we can see it grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I never wanted to be ahead of time was that it could have, if we were careless, the COMETSA brand could have become a football brand. Remember, we were started as a football club on the 1st of August 1997. And those who knew us then, in the early days, they only knew us through football.
Yes.
And then we said, no, we need to be careful, because we have always wanted to establish a corporate as the mother of all these things, because we knew that we need to have a way of consolidating resources to support all these good ideas. So we were very intentional in slacking it down when the football club was so good. And people would say, but why don't you join the league? Why don't you register academy? We said, no, hang on. And then I strategically and purposefully slacked it down and put a hold on it, because it was moving too fast. And then when the band came, and the band was just, I remember we used to go to Alex and then hire dancers and everything. So the band was actually growing in little leagues, and you'll have artists, you'll have poets, and you'll have the dancers. And then also the corporates were starting to invite us to come and entertain whenever we had the workshops.
Oh yes.
Then we also put it down. Said, no, we don't want these things we don't want this band to be known to be a music band. I mean, this brand to be known to be a music brand. We did that to the music as well. And I need to apologize, because along the road we were very disappointing many other people that we might have raised their expectations. For instance, the footballers who wanted to see themselves playing professional football, and COMETSA Football Club was seen as a vehicle through which to do that. We had to put it back. And then the same with you guys. Now, the company has emerged as a corporate in business consulting out there. We are comfortable. We say now you can catch us the rest of the little projects. We are ready now. The brand is standing out, and then you can no longer just say COMETSA when you are referring to a band. You need to say COMETSA Mafrika band.
Yes.
You can't just say COMETSA when you're referring to COMETSA radio. You must say COMETSA Radio Africa, so we know what you are talking about.
Oh my goodness. This is such wonderful news.
And then you can't say COMETSA when you are referring to the studio. You have to say COMETSA Mafrika studio. Yeah? And you can't just say COMETSA when you're referring to our podcast. You have to say COMETSA Mafrika platform. Then we know you're talking podcasts. So and all is thanks to you guys, because it must have been very confused. Fortunately, you and I, we sat down and you could listen to me and you could understand my vision. But other people, it might have been too much at some stage.
Yes, I remember. In fact, they didn't even want to sometimes spare the time. Yes, I remember. And this is something that fascinated me, just as you're explaining it now. It reminds me of back in the day when you had a pen in your hands and you were showing me, okay, now this is what we're going to this is how the branches are going to, just as you're explaining it to me now. And also even the diversity of COMETSA. I almost fainted when I went to the site, when I went to the Facebook page, when I went on social media to look at COMETSA, and I almost cried. And I didn't want to say that. I almost cried when I realized that, wow, that vision that you were sitting at 2:00 in the morning and you were explaining it to me, I can now see it physically. I can see that taking place, when I look at the footage, when I look at all the photos, when I look at all the activities and all the things that you explain, when I listen to the radio online, when I listen to some of the things that you're talking about, it reminds me of the time we even performed at the German Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Just the influence that the whole COMETSA brand had with it. To see it now having come to fruition.
It has been
like magic.
It has been a beautiful journey. The 1st of August next month, we are 23 years old. So it's been a journey.
Wow.
So we must make sure that in 2 years' time, when we celebrate 25th anniversary, that band must be the highlight of the 25 years of celebration of our existence.
Come hell or high waters.
I leave that responsibility on your shoulders.
No, thank you. It's an honor, actually. It's an honor thing. And this is such a beautiful thing because just to add in a bit, especially during the times that we're going through, people are full of so much depression, and people are full of so much worry, and they are full of so many other challenges that they're having. And the message that I've been spreading was, no, but much as this has its own disadvantages this time, it also has its advantages, because there's a whole lot that we've planted before that we just left there. So perhaps it's time that, look, you don't have to go out, just go in. Each and everybody has that gift within them that was planted. And the difference is, with technology, as we grow, as time keeps going, people tend to lose focus of their passion. People tend to lose sight of that thing that they plan to do, and then they just get taken away by some of these niceties, by the bling bling, by these things that just fascinate the eyes, and then they tend to forget on that deeply embedded passion from inside of them. And now this is also going to make up for calling some of those to saying, look, here's the mind that you have.
Yes.
That's still on a journey, and then you still have a destiny to get to. And now let's engage. So this is a beautiful. It's one of the beautiful solutions that we are looking for, especially in times of crisis, such as what we're going through.
And the beautiful thing, the beauty is that now, because we were challenged about how do we become part of everybody, and how does everybody become part of us? Remember the slogan I said, the organization everybody wants to be associated with. It's not us just dreaming it. It has been indicated to us that is how people feel. And therefore, we had to live up to that expectation. And as a result, hence the launching of our membership-based organization, COMETSA Friends and Supporters Club, which by the way, you can apply for membership online interactively until to the other point when you pay your membership, and then we issue your membership number and a membership card.
I must revise it, because I've been a member according to what I know, unless it...
Yes, not by virtue of you being a board member of COMETSA Mafrika Development Agency, then you are there. You just need to activate it and then get your membership card printed online. So that it's no longer just us who founded the organization, but everybody else is able to become the member, part of the organization, by being a member of COMETSA Friends and Supporters Club NPO. And that is all what you need to do, is to give them the link, is the www.cometsaclub.africa, and then they can follow under membership, follow the process, and then everybody can be part of us. So you guys carry the status of being the founder members of COMETSA Mafrika Band, but everybody else can become part of you, because there is a membership organization that was created as a result of realization that we are inspiring so many people, and people want to be part of something that is progressive, hence the NPO and the membership.
And I'm very proud. I'm very, very proud. I'm very proud for holding that flag.
Yeah.
Especially in an age, a lot of people start organizations. A lot of people start ideas. But to be quite honest, you're one of the first ones that are still at it. And this for me is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You know, at the same time, just being grateful for in fact, on behalf of each and everyone who's interacted now with COMETSA, it can be from the musical side, from the youth staff, from the business consultation staff, in fact, from all the legs that it has. Because I cannot even tell you how many people I've interacted with from COMETSA. For some reason, it's touched so many people's lives. And I think that goes on unidentified. And it's one of the things I'm hoping that we can correct, because I know how many people it's impacted, and also through development at different stages. I mean, and even in different relationships, and even in different partners that COMETSA in general has.
Yes.
The beautiful work that is done for young people.
Yes.
I'm grateful to people such as yourself, and I'm really, really praying that as time goes on, we cultivate some of these younger guys to also hold on the flag to continue through and through throughout the future.
Absolutely. And remember also, we were challenged with the band, where we thought, you know what is going to happen when this band go to the highest level of professionalism? Are we gonna how do we accommodate the up and coming? Remember the vision I shared with you, that there will be within the COMETSA Mafrika band, there will be various groups, and there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. And the first group was the beginners, the up and coming, the advanced, the professionals, and the pinnacle being the masters or the champions. It is still there on the script, so the work is cut out for us. So when we start mobilizing from next year onward, we need to keep that in mind, that even though the COMETSA Africa band is not a development part, it's a professional. Within that professional setup, you still need to create the opportunities, because we have found out that there are just so many gifted artists in this country, musicians, that they don't have a space, because the band can only take 7 pieces and that's it. So now what do? You have to, you can't ask everybody to perform only at the amateur and development level. But if they can come into this one brand, COMETSA Africa band, and then they progress from beginners up to the... And then, of course, as people hit the masters, some of them could go solo and start their own bands.
I remember when you described it. In fact, for some reason, it's almost as if you could see perfectly into the future, because it's one of the things that you relayed with me, because that's how I had a good understanding of our band. Because I remember you related very well to saying, look, you guys are not necessarily going to be the only ones.
Yes.
This is something that should continue. And I remember you relate exactly the same thing with a soccer division as well. And I found this to be such a beautiful thing, on that, so this is not like one of those bands where you just focus and you want to be a superstar alone. You can be that, but you must know that you also have a responsibility to also give others a chance to do the same. Absolutely. And this was a beautiful thing from conception.
Wonderful. Great, my brother. I'm glad we've talked. I think we have just sharpened up the appetites of fellow former colleagues, and of course our listeners and our stakeholders. They must watch this space, because you have your own dedicated slot at COMETSA Radio Africa. It's called COMETSA Africa Platform, and that's where we will talk regularly. And then, of course, hopefully the music that you'll be releasing will be played on this station. So, your closing remarks?
Sorry, say that again. I lost you.
Your closing remarks?
I'd just like to tell all the listeners to watch the space.
Lovely.
As we are going to be making sure that all the things that we spoke about today, we're going to bring them to fruition. And actually, I'm hoping that one of these days, hopefully, they will be able to hear our product. And in fact, one of the first things that we should play should be the song about COMETSA.
Yes, the mind, the journey, the destiny.
Yes, because it's a very beautiful philosophy. And by the way, can I just say how I was reminded of you in one of the talks I was making. There's a talk I was giving with regards to substance abuse. And I was reminded of the mind, the journey, and even the destiny. Because in fact, I made a few points regarding it, that there's a relationship between these three. And it's important to lay them out in their sequence, because once you get them confused, it'll also confuse your journey. It'll also confuse your direction as a human being. And so it's important to engage your mind and focus on the journey. And once your mind is locked on the journey and both of these are in perfect synchrony, then your destiny, you can almost predict that it's going to be perfect. And
Beautiful.
So I'm grateful for that philosophy, and I'd like to leave our listeners with the very same philosophy. It's more than just a motto. It's a beautiful philosophy, and it applies throughout life. And so please watch this space, and I'm grateful to you, Sam, for this beautiful opportunity. And I'm super blessed that we came back again, and we're going to re-establish this, and we're going to take this and make it fly now.
Lovely. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Tshepo. It's been wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Tshepo Mogano, one of the founder members of COMETSA Mafrika band, promising us that the Mafrika band and Mafrika brand is back. We can't wait to present to you in the next year, 2021. Once again, my name is Sam Zimmer. I am the CEO and Executive Business Coach at COMETSA GOC International. Check our website, www.cometsa-goc.com. And of course, become part of us. Join COMETSA Friends and Supporters Club, NPO. That can be done online at www.cometsaclub.africa. And once you do that, you then part of us and you can contribute meaningfully to our journey. You are welcome to drop us an email at callcenter@cometsa-goc.com. We thank you for tuning in. We are looking forward to welcoming you at our next broadcast. For now, we say take care, be safe, and goodbye.